There is a man I want you to imagine, not a fictional man. Perhaps a man that looks like you, sounds like you, carries the same weight on his shoulders that you carry every single day. He wakes up at 3 in the morning, heart racing, palms sweating, mind already running 100 miles per hour down a road that leads nowhere good. He doesn't know why. Nothing happened. No alarm went off. No emergency. The room is quiet. His family is safe. The bills are not due until next week. But his body, his mind, his spirit, they are screaming. And he lies there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, wondering, what is wrong with me? I want you to know something right now before we go any further in this conversation. If that man sounds like you, if those 3 a.m. moments are familiar, if anxiety has become your constant companion, following you into rooms you don't invite it into, sitting beside you at dinner, sleeping beside you at night, whispering doubt into your ear every time you try to move forward, you are not broken, you are not weak, you are not forgotten by God. You are simply living in a prison that was never meant to hold you. And today, by the grace of the Almighty, we are going to talk about how to find the door. I am not here today to give you a motivational speech that makes you feel good for 20 minutes and then fades like smoke in the wind. No, I am here to go deep with you. I am here to take you somewhere that requires courage to go. Because the real conversation about fear and anxiety is not comfortable. It is not clean. It does not begin with a smile and end with applause. It begins in the dark places that most people are too proud to admit they visit. It begins in the honest, trembling acknowledgement that something has been living in your mind, rent-free, for far too long. Let us go there together. The word fear in the scriptures carries a weight that most translations struggle to fully capture. The Greek word used in the New Testament, deilia, does not simply mean being afraid of a spider or startled by a loud noise. It carries the idea of a spirit, a cowardly spirit, a timid, shrinking, retreating spirit that makes a person smaller than they were created to be. When the Apostle Paul wrote to his spiritual son Timothy, he didn't say, Timothy, try harder. He didn't say, pray more, and the anxiety will disappear. He said something far more revolutionary. He said, God has not given us a spirit of fear. He said, it is not from God. Meaning, if it is not from God, then we need to ask a very serious question. Where did it come from? And why have we been hosting it like an honored guest? This is the beginning of your deliverance. Not the shouting, not the tears, not the raising of hands in a Sunday service, though all of those have their place. The beginning of your deliverance is this moment of confrontation. This moment where you look your fear directly in the face and say, you are not from my Father. You do not belong here. And I am done pretending that you do. I have counseled men and women over the years who carry titles and achievements that the world envies. Professionals, business owners, ministers, people who stand in front of audiences with confidence and come home to bedrooms where they weep in silence. Because anxiety has hijacked their inner world. I have sat with young people who are gifted beyond measure, whose futures shine like the sun on a cloudless morning, and yet they are paralyzed, unable to take the next step, unable to say yes to the opportunities God is placing at their feet. Not because they don't believe in God, But because the voice of fear has learned to sound very reasonable, very logical, very wise, it says things like, what if you fail? What if they reject you? What if this is the wrong decision? What if you're not enough? And because it asks these questions in a measured, intellectual tone, we sit down and we engage it. We have entire conversations with fear. We negotiate with it. We make compromises with it. And all the while, our destiny is sitting on the other side of the room, waiting. I want to pause here and say something with great tenderness, because I know that some of the people hearing these words right now are exhausted, not just physically tired, soul tired. You have fought this battle for so long. Some of you have been anxious since childhood, since the first time you saw instability in your home, since the first time someone you trusted left without explanation, since the first time the world proved to you that it was not safe. And somewhere along the way, your mind made a decision, a subconscious, deeply embedded decision, that vigilance was survival, that worry was wisdom, that if you stayed alert, if you anticipated every possible disaster, you could protect yourself from pain. And I understand that. I understand why the mind does that. But here is the truth that needs to be spoken today. That strategy has never once worked. Not for a single human being who has ever lived. Because fear does not protect you. It only pretends to. Listen to me. The prophet Isaiah, writing centuries before the birth of Christ, recorded these words from the mouth of God himself. He said, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." This is Isaiah 41, verse 10. And what strikes me every single time I return to this passage is the order of it. God does not say, "Get your life together and then I'll be with you." He does not say, "Stop being afraid and then I'll help you." He says, "Fear not, because I am already with you." The solution comes before the command. The provision precedes the instruction. God is not waiting for you to fix your anxiety so he can show up. He's already in the room. He's already in the situation. He's already in the future you are afraid of. And he is saying, "Come on. I'm already there. It's all right. Come." But here is where so many people get stuck. They hear words like these and they feel a momentary surge of comfort. They feel a warmth in their chest, a softening in their spirit. And then the moment passes. The phone rings. The bill arrives. The news cycle continues. The person who hurt them posts a photograph of their happy life on social media. And the warmth disappears. And they are back where they started, wondering if the peace they tasted for a moment was even real. Wondering why God seems so close in the church and so far away at 3 in the morning when the racing thoughts return. This is the cycle. This is the pattern that I want to help you break today. Because the problem is not that God's peace is unavailable to you. The problem is that most of us have never been taught how to hold it. We have never been taught what the Bible calls the renewing of the mind. We quote Romans 12:2, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind," as if it is a passive experience, as if transformation happens to you the way rain happens to a field. You just stand there and it falls on you. But renewing the mind is active. It is intentional. It is something you do, not once in a mountaintop moment, but every single morning, in every single room, in every single conversation you have with yourself. Your mind is the battlefield. I need you to hear that. Not just as a cliche, not as the title of a popular book, but as a living, breathing, documented, spiritually verifiable reality. The enemy of your soul does not pry, merely operate through circumstances. He operates through thoughts. He plants seeds, just small thoughts, small suspicion, small what ifs, and he waters them with repetition and isolation and the right timing. And if those seeds are not uprooted, they become a forest, a dense, dark, overwhelming forest that blocks out every ray of light, every promise, every possibility. I want to tell you about a woman. I will call her Grace, because grace is what she needed, and grace is what found her. Grace was a woman who had everything the world defines as a blessed life: a career, a family, a community that loved her. But Grace had a secret that nobody knew. From the moment she opened her eyes each morning to the moment she closed them at night, she was consumed by a low, constant hum of dread. Not loud panic, not dramatic breakdowns, just a hum, a background noise of something is wrong. Something is about to go wrong. You need to be ready. You need to be afraid. She had lived with it for so long that she thought it was just her personality. She thought this was simply who she was: a worrier, an overthinker, someone wired differently from the people around her who seemed to navigate life with ease. And one day, sitting in a quiet moment of prayer, not a spectacular prayer, not a moment of great spiritual intensity, just a quiet, exhausted, honest conversation with God, she said these words. She said, "Lord, I am tired of being afraid of my own life." And in that moment, something shifted. Not immediately, not with fireworks, but something shifted. Because that prayer of honest exhaustion was the beginning of her healing. Not because God needed her to admit defeat, but because she had finally stopped performing for God and started being real with God. And there is a level of divine intervention that only becomes available when you are finally completely honest. Are you tired of being afraid of your own life? Are you tired of waking up with a weight on your chest that you cannot explain and cannot move? Are you tired of watching your gifts, your potential, your relationships suffer under the shadow of anxiety? If you are, then I need you to stay with me, because what I am about to share with you in the remainder of this message is not theory. It is not psychology dressed in Christian vocabulary. It is the ancient, proven, divinely authored pathway back to peace. A peace, as the scripture says, that passes all understanding. A peace that doesn't make sense given your circumstances. A peace that causes people to look at you and ask, how? How are you still standing? How are you still smiling? How are you still moving forward? And your answer will be simple. It will be the most powerful sentence a human being can ever speak from a place of genuine experience. Your answer will be, because I know who holds tomorrow. And that is enough. Hold on to that. Let it sit in your spirit, because we are only at the beginning of this journey today. The door has been opened. The conversation has been started. And God, who began this work in you, is faithful to complete it. Not someday, not when you finally get it all together, but now, in this moment, in this season, in this very place where you are sitting as you hear these words. Fear is not your story. Anxiety is not your identity. And the prison you have been living in, the walls are already crumbling. Stay with me. We are going somewhere beautiful.